Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Sorry this one is going up late. I know that by the time this goes up people would have been waiting for it, but I've been moving around my rooms all day. So if you don't know, I'm doing a bit of home renovations. I'm turning my bedroom into an office, which I'm currently sat in. This is going to be one of my filming spaces, and then I'm currently doing all the office, like desk space and everything. So I have been moving around all day, hence like the messy hair and everything. So this is a Q&A. I basically asked everyone for their common dilemmas or common questions, and I also collected some of my own that I get asked a lot, and it's basically just a collection of things that are very, very common. And I'm hoping that I can then put this on my IGTV, on my Instagram, and I'm also going to link it in my highlights, and any like links to any products that I mention will be put in my Instagram, because I'll screenshot it and put it in the highlights. And then it means that rather than asking me the questions and like waiting for me to answer because I can't necessarily reply quickly, then it means that people can just check the highlights or check this video and they'll get the answers. So I've got a bunch of questions that people sent me, and then I've also got some that I wrote out. So I've got them from like Instagram. So yeah, we're gonna get onto the video. I hope you enjoy. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And there'll be another video on Thursday. I think that's gonna be one of the home renovation ones, because this is my office, so it is technically like Sweet Things office. So that's why I'm going to be putting it on the YouTube channel, because I thought some of you might be intrigued to see what the office looks like. So yes, we are going to get right into the video, and that will be coming later in the week. So I'm going to go through the ones that I get commonly asked. These are my personal ones, and then we're going to go on to the ones I got asked on Instagram. So number one, I wanted to get this out the way quickly because it is so common. I get this question on a daily basis, and it is about my postal packaging. So this took me so long to find out, and I know a lot of people don't share their packaging because obviously you have spent ages finding it. I don't mind sharing these items. I do have new boxes. I wanted to say this because people might notice in my photos and stuff. I do have new boxes. I still use these old boxes, but I mostly use the new ones, especially because I'm getting lots of people that order more than one brownie, so then I need to be packaging in a bigger box. So I prefer these boxes, so I'm going to be using those, but I won't be telling you where those are from. But I will be telling you where my brown boxes are from. So if you've watched my other vlogs, if you follow me on Instagram, then you'll know. These are called smart boxes, and they are from Amazon, and you literally just type in smart box, like postal box, and they will come up straight away. They're £15 for 25, and yeah, I just needed to buy in bulk, and I mean I bought 100 of my new ones, and I also wanted them one slightly cheaper, and I wanted them a slightly different style, so that's why I went for on the new ones. But like I say, I will happily share the Amazon ones because I don't really use those anymore, but I won't be sharing the new ones, especially if I get them customised. But yeah, that's something that I'm looking into in the future. And then in terms of trays, another question I get asked very, very frequently. They are from eBay, and they are 7.5 inch long foil trays, and again, if you type in 7.5 inch trays, they will come up straight away. Even if you have to look for like 10 minutes or so, it's still a lot quicker than having to search for hours and try and find them. So hopefully me just telling you where they're from and like the names and stuff to type in is helpful. But like I say, if you check my Instagram highlights, I'm planning to put a screenshot of the listing on there so that you can then find it based on the item number, because eBay has like item numbers which you can just search for. So those are in terms of packaging, and then in terms of like labels, so like stickers, I get them from Banana Print. Some of them I make myself, like all my allergen stickers I make myself, so I'll get into that because that's another question. And then I just use normal tissue paper in the boxes and cover the brownie trays in cellophane bags, which I get from Amazon. Because the brownies are in a cellophane bag, you can put them in tissue paper no problem, because some people have mentioned about like food safe tissue paper, but obviously because you're putting it in a cellophane bag, you can use any tissue paper you want in those boxes because it's not going directly on them, so it doesn't matter, because they're already kept in bags. So that's in terms of my most common packaging ones. I wanted to get those out of the way in case people just came for that. Then we have these are some other ones that I got asked quite a lot today because I had so many messages today. One of them was, is a teenager too young to start a business, and how does it work? So this is in terms of basically under the age of 16. I personally don't think this is too young. If I had started earlier, then I would have been at a better place now, and I'm almost 22, because you're getting more experience. By the time you were 18, you would be already like maybe getting a shop, starting your business, and it would be a lot bigger, hopefully, than it would be like for me, who's started and I've only been doing it a year. So I would say get as much practice in as you can. If you want to start a business from it, then go ahead. You can do it as long as you have your parents' permission, so as long as they help you register, because I believe they have to either have their name on it or they have to do it themselves, but I think they can put their name down as like a guardian on it. I'm not sure how it works because I haven't tried, but that's from what I've read. And also in terms of like your hygiene rating and stuff, obviously most of the time, like for me, I'm in my parents' house anyway, so although they didn't ask my parents' permission because I'm over 18, you would be in your parents' house likely, so it means that they would obviously just check with your parents and they might ask them some questions, but I very doubt it, because when you're registering they'll get them to fill anything that they need to out. But yeah, I don't see that there's any issue with you starting it earlier. I would say that make sure you've got lots of photos to promote your business, because if your profile isn't very populated with your work, then some people might look at it and then some people judge, which they shouldn't, but some people do. And if they see that you're a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old and you haven't got much of a portfolio, then they might think, oh, are they any good? Are they like registered? Have they done it all properly? So I would obviously try and get as much practice in as you can, try and get as many photos so that you can showcase all of your work, and also label yourself correctly. So, you know, if you are registered, then write it in your bio on Facebook, on Instagram, so that people know. There's no harm in doing that, and then it means that people won't worry that you're not registered, or you know, you haven't gone through the proper avenues of starting a business just because of your age. So then you don't have any issues with that. But yeah, I don't see why there's any problem starting as early as possible. I would say that maybe like 12 is probably, I mean, it's completely up to you, but I haven't had anyone ask me under 12, so I would say maybe that's the cutoff, because obviously things like school are very important, so you want to make sure that you're putting all your time and effort into that as well as the business. So you don't want that to kind of take away from that, because you still want to get your GCSEs, they're very important, and it means that you have something to fall back on. Like I have my accountancy qualifications to fall back on, like my A-levels, so yeah, if something ever was to happen to this, I could just get an accountancy job the next day. It's that easy. So I would definitely recommend having some qualifications for yourself, just because then it means you've got something to fall back on. So next question, how to keep ingredient costs down. So this follows on to another question which I got asked today, and it's nothing towards that person. If any of you know who you are when you answer these questions, nothing is like a judgmental thing towards it. I just want to kind of explain my opinion. So in terms of how to keep ingredients costs down, obviously it bases where you're buying, how much bulk you're buying. If you buy in bulk, you're going to get things cheaper. There's certain items where you can buy them in bulk, things like flour, you could buy 15 kg off Amazon, which is usually what I do, and then that's a lot cheaper than buying it from the store. Then you can also go to Costco for various things. It depends if there's one locally, because mine is about 45 minutes away. I haven't got a membership yet, but I would like to, but I need to work out whether the membership and the petrol is going to be more expensive than me just buying at Tesco's. So I need to work that out for one. But if I do decide to do that, then I'll let you know, and I'll kind of give you an overview on whether I think it's worth it and everything, and what I can manage to buy there. But you can buy things like butter, flour, chocolates, so much stuff, but obviously I don't have the storage space for all of that stuff, so that's also why I don't buy in crazy bulk, because I can only sort of buy things like flour in bulk because I can actually store it. But yeah, that also does it. And I would say that things that don't change the quality of your bakes, so I would say that caster sugar is pretty universal, brown sugar is pretty universal, and flour. I personally, this is obviously my opinion, some people may disagree, but I personally think that butter and chocolate changes the quality of your bakes, because I've never noticed a difference when I've used cheaper flour or more expensive flour, and vice versa with sugar. However, when I use like block butter, when I use Stork, if I use a cheaper version of Stork, then I always notice the difference. There are some cheaper versions which are exactly the same, like that Perfect for Cakes that you can buy from Aldi. That is exactly the same, in my opinion, as Stork. So if I'm there, I buy it, but most of the time I buy Stork. But I personally think that in terms of chocolate, certain cheap chocolates do make a difference in the quality. So I always buy cooking chocolate from Tesco's and Sainsbury's. And then some people use the, I can't pronounce it, so I'm really sorry, but I think it's the Cowbolt or Coolbolt, one of the two. But some people buy that. I haven't bought it yet because I don't like mixing chocolates. I personally notice a difference if I mix two different brands of chocolates. So I don't want to run out of Cobalt and then I have to go to Sainsbury's and buy a different chocolate and then mix them together for brownies if I'm ill prepared. So, or if I get a last minute order and I can't get it in time. So I prefer to pick a chocolate that I like, that is nearby, that I can go and get at all hours of the day, because then if I do need to do a last minute shopping run, then I can go and get it and there's no issues. There's no like switching of brands within the same bake. So I don't like to do that. That's just my personal opinion. I always notice a difference when I use different chocolate within the same like brownie, so you can't mix two together. So I like to buy my chocolate from Sainsbury's and Tesco's, but I do notice a difference when I use Aldi, and also when you use Tesco's own, I definitely notice a difference. You have to use the cooking one. I haven't tried Asda or anywhere like that, so I don't know on those. But yeah, I definitely notice chocolate when it's butter and chocolate. I notice a difference. So I would say that you can use cheaper ingredients in terms of things like sugar, flour. I use branded vanilla extract, but that's just because I use the vanilla essence, which is it's like a water, whereas if you use the extract which you get from the shop, then it's more of an oil because it's extract. So I prefer to use a branded one of that because I can only get the essence in the Dr. Oetker. So yeah, I have to buy it from that brand. But if you can get things cheaper, then I don't see why there's any issue with that. If your cakes are still getting rave reviews, then there's no issue. All it means by getting your ingredients cheaper is that you get a more reasonable hourly rate, which, I mean, I think we can all agree that bakers do not get the greatest wage. Obviously, if you're baking a lot of things, then, and at the same time, then your hourly rate includes lots of bakes, which then makes it higher. But say you're baking one cake a day, then your hourly rate is going to be lower than if you're baking 3 at the same time, because you're doing more with your time. So yeah, I would say that if you can get things cheaper, then definitely do. Things like sprinkles I buy from all over the place, and it's not because I want them cheaper, but Tesco's is one of the cheapest places for sprinkles, and they also do some of the best, which I haven't found anywhere else. So I guess if you can find it cheaper, then do. But yeah, that's a little bit of a controversial one because some people feel like they should be using expensive ingredients if they're charging people higher prices. But I mean, if you're getting £10 an hour or less, then you're not really giving yourself enough of an hourly rate. So by getting the ingredients cheaper, all it really means is that you're getting a more reasonable hourly rate. And like I say, I don't use like all value ingredients or all like Aldi. I just do it in certain things which don't change the taste of a bake, because I don't see any issue with that. And also I'm not quite sure how many different flours there can be. If it's unbranded, then it's difficult to know whether Tesco's is any different to Aldi, because if they're both unbranded, then where are they both coming from? Whereas if it's like Silver Spoon, then obviously it is a brand that you're buying, but if it's an own brand, then I'm not quite sure how that works. But I've never noticed a difference between using like Tesco's, Waitrose, wherever I buy sugar and flour from. So I think you can definitely buy like unbranded or just buy it in bulk, which will make it cheaper. But yeah, we're going to move on to the next one. This one I think I might move on from just because it's another long one. It's about competition locally, so we're going to come back to this because it is going to be a long one. I get lots of messages about this, and I am one of those people where I don't really mind it. So yeah, we'll go into that in a minute. So again, someone asked about how to keep ingredients costs down, so I've mentioned that. Someone said, is your company limited or are you self-employed? I'm self-employed, I'm not a company. From my understanding, because I did this a bit in my accountancy A-levels and stuff, but from what I understand, there's different ways of paying tax, paying salaries. A limited company, say your company went bust, it would be in the company's name, it wouldn't be in yours, so you wouldn't have to pay anything. Obviously it would be in your name, but you could claim that the company is bankrupt. Whereas if you're a self-employed, like sole trader on your own, then any debt is going to be in your name, which means that if you go bust, it's all down to you to pay because it's not in a company name. Whereas a company could have multiple managers, what are they called? There's a name for it, multiple shareholders, where you're like the managers of the company. There isn't really a designated owner, whereas a self-employed person, you are the owner, you are a sole person, and also from what I've read, you can change the business. So obviously if I opened a shop and I wanted employees, then I think I would need to change to a limited company because you need to be able to pay salaries, you pay different tax. I would pay myself dividends because I'm also an employee as well as the owner. So the way that the system works is very different. So if you plan to be a lone wolf your whole time, you know, you're not planning on opening a shop or you don't have ideas to do that in the future, then I would say just do self-employed. I did it because, again, I wasn't sure how long this was going to go on for and like whether it would be successful. So I did self-employed because that was the simplest for me, and also because I wasn't planning to have employees, etc. So, but then I did some research and I found out that if I do get a shop, then I can actually change over to a limited company and then I can have employees, which will probably be my parents at this rate, but little do they know. But yeah, so it just means that you can have employees and yeah, then you can pay them wages and the tax is different, etc. But what I would say, which I say to everyone that messages me, is type in the differences. This is what I did. Type in the differences between self-employed and limited company. And Google will give you about 15 bullet points on each, and like pros and cons. And then you can just look through and you can say, right, this one ticks more of my boxes. This one ticks more of my boxes. This one, I don't like the look of that. I didn't like the idea of it not having a specific owner, especially in like terms of debt and things like that. So yeah, I wanted it the way that a self-employed person is laid out, but like I say, when I get a shop and have employees, I'll need to change that anyway. But yeah, it just depends on where you want the business to go as to what route you take with it. I will be doing some videos on tax in the next few weeks because I'll be submitting my first tax return, which is very, very scary. So yeah, and there's another question on that, so I'll talk about that in a minute, but I will be doing some videos on that. And because it's my first year submitting it, I have, I believe, until January to submit it. So I'm actually registering, and then because a lot of my family are self-employed, so I know quite a bit about it, but I believe, from what I understood, that I have until January next year to submit it, because the ones that would have been submitted already are for the previous year, which was like for businesses that started a year before me, whereas I started in 2020. So I need to submit for 2020 to 2021, whereas other businesses are going to be submitting, or they would have already submitted in January for 19 to 20, but because I wasn't trading then, I'm registering at a different time. So yeah, it means that from April to next April will be the new tax year, but I'll be doing it for the previous year. That's the way that tax works for those of you that don't know. You're always submitting in arrears, so you're submitting the previous year, and you can do it anytime from April. That's the way it works. You can, because the tax year finishes in April, that's why most big businesses, if you work for councils, I worked in accounts in a council, so we would always submit in like May, our accounts. So yeah, you have from April until January to submit. I'm planning to submit mine as soon as possible, so that's done. it also means that that starts my 3 years, because I eventually want to move out. So it means that my 3 years of being like registered as like taxable in order to get a mortgage, because again, for those of you that are younger maybe and like don't necessarily have a house, or if you're older and don't necessarily have a mortgage, you'll want to consider that, because if you're not registered, then when you do want to get a mortgage, you need to wait 3 years to have 3 years worth of accounts, because you have to submit that when you get a mortgage. So yeah, that's why I wanted to register in April, so that I am all ready for that, because then that kind of starts the countdown for how many years until I can move out, because I don't want to rent. That's just personal preference. I don't want to rent and pay like someone else's mortgage, so I will be waiting until I can move out like fully like self-sufficiently. Oh, this one, very, very common, another one I should have probably done at the start. Is there an issue if you only have one sink and no downstairs toilet? This is very, very, very common. I get this probably twice a day, every single day. So I wanted to clear this one up. I mentioned it in a video, and because I am not in this situation, I couldn't cover it because I didn't know. Now I do know, but every time people watch that video, they always ask me. So basically, you either have to have a downstairs toilet, which I have, you have a double sink, which I have, or you have a washing hand basin. So this is a washing up bowl as well as your normal washing up bowl. Some people think that they can take the washing up bowl from the sink and put it on the side. As far as I'm aware, you can't do that. You need to have two separate bowls, because it's to separate the washing up from your hand washing. And what you do is you wash up in the bowl that's in your sink, and then you have a bowl on the counter, like on your worktop, and that's filled with water, and you can use soap and wash your hands in there. So that's what you do if you don't have any downstairs toilet. If you do have a downstairs toilet, then that is also fine, as long as it's accessible and like, I don't know, not like blocked off in any way. As long as it's accessible, then you can use that. You can't have anything upstairs, because I believe it has to be downstairs with the kitchen. So yeah, either has to be a downstairs toilet, a double sink, or you need two washing up bowls. Those are the like three options that you have. And someone also asked if they get scrutinised. As far as I'm aware, you don't get scrutinised. Like, you're not going to get a 4 just because you don't have a double sink. As long as you have one of the other options, then that's absolutely fine. So yeah, then they can't really mark you down just because you don't have a double sink, because not everyone does. It's very common. So yeah, as long as you have some form of washing hand basin, that's absolutely fine. How did you decide on postal box sizes, and do yours fit through the letterbox or signed for? So honestly, I have about 50 boxes under my bed, or they were under my bed, but now they're in the kitchen, which I haven't used, and they're all different sizes, and I just kept ordering packets and they kept on not being the right size. I did buy the letterbox ones, and I personally don't know how people do letterbox brownies, because they are literally like that. And I personally think that's really small for a brownie, but they're just so thin, and you can't put any toppings on them, and I like to put toppings on top, so it's just not practical for me to have letterbox brownies because it's just way too thin. I like to have nice, like, thick chunky brownies, or the trays, and even the trays don't fit in there, so I use bigger boxes. So it was literally just trial and error. I spent a lot of money buying boxes that were the wrong sizes, and now I obviously have ones that are perfect, but I've now learned to measure the box before I order it, because I kept ordering boxes that I hadn't measured, and they looked good, and then they arrived and I was like, this is so much smaller than I expected. So yeah, that was a right pain, but they're not letterbox, and they are classed as a small parcel. And yeah, literally I just trialed and error until I found the ones I wanted. I also measured them to the tray, because I found a tray that I wanted, and then I found the boxes after I got the trays, so that's why the trays fit perfectly in the boxes. For those of you that have ordered them, and you will see they fit perfectly. And in terms of posting, because I get this question a lot as well, when it comes to posting, I post tracked 48. This gets there within 2 days, that is guaranteed. If they don't get there within 2 days, then you can claim and get your money back, but it's very unlikely that they don't get there in 2 days. Obviously if you send them on like a Saturday, then they wouldn't get there till the Monday, but I send on a Monday and a Thursday, so they always get there by the weekend. And I find that this is the best service personally, because I was kind of tired of, although first class is cheaper for the customer, because I mean you're not paying the postage, or I don't anyway, I charge people the postage, it's just easier to charge them more and then they get it guaranteed. Because the issue that I was having is Royal Mail, the tracking on them, although it's not tracking, it's more of like a confirmation that it's been delivered. I would get so many where people had taken photos saying that it had been delivered, and then I would type in the order number, so it's not tracking as in daily, like wherever it is on the map. It's more that it just says it's been delivered or awaiting delivery. And I was getting so many that were saying awaiting delivery or not delivered yet, and then I knew that people had received it because they'd sent me photos and tagged me, and I was thinking that is going to end badly, and it did, because I had one person who I almost had to give a refund to, which is, it's not that bad, but it's just not what I want. I don't want to be worrying about that kind of thing. And they just said that they hadn't received it, and it'd been like 7-8 days, and bearing in mind this is first class, it should have been there within 2 days, so it was kind of ridiculous. And this was after Christmas, so there was no delays there, and it just got delayed so much. And then they said, right, can you put in a claim, because I don't think it's arriving, and you have to wait 7 working days to put in a claim. And then the next day it arrived, but I couldn't track it. It said that it hadn't been delivered, and one of my fears is that a customer, obviously this is assuming that someone would try it, but you never know, someone might say that, because if you give them the order number, I don't, but if you do, they might try and say, well, it hasn't arrived, when it has, because I can't track it. So yeah, if I'm having any issues, then I worry that it either won't arrive, or it will arrive and they won't tell me, or, you know, whereas tracking, it's tracking, so it will tell me if it's arrived, where it was exactly, I can track it the whole way there. So it just means if anyone says, where's my parcel, it's been delayed, I can say, right, it's at Manchester depot or whatever. So it's just so much easier to do it that way. And I personally find that people don't mind paying for it. They get a tracking number so they can track it, especially if it's a gift, because I get so many where they're gifts, and I think the people like to track it so that they know when it's getting to the person's house, so then they can tell them when to expect it. And it also means that they can say, you know, enjoy, and they can kind of thank them for it, and vice versa, because they know when it's coming. So yeah, I would go for tracked 48. It doesn't need to be 24 if you've baked them fresh. I bake all of mine the day before, so if you bake them fresh, then there's no need to necessarily do a track 24, because it's still going to get there in 2 days, which is still very, very soon. So someone says, how do you manage your business finances and all of the tax? I struggle with this so much. So in terms of business finances, if you don't know, I have these spreadsheets. So a lot of you, I mean, not that much in terms of like how many subscribers I have, but a lot of people have purchased the spreadsheet. So you will know that I have an order log, I have an Etsy log. So order log is in-person orders, so like cakes, anything like that. And then an Etsy log is all of my website orders, all of my Etsy orders, so anything online, so postals. Then I have my costing spreadsheet, which is how I cost all of my bakes and get an idea as to whether I'm charging correctly based on the ingredients. And then I also have a calendar, like a written diary, so I manage all that in terms of dates, and I keep all these logs, and then I can work out how much I've earned each month, how much I've spent. I keep all my receipts for tax purposes, so that I can then work out how much I've spent in expenses. In terms of tax, I can't really comment on that yet, because I wouldn't have done my tax return yet. But I believe most people put some aside. However, it's pretty common, this is just an assumption and kind of based on myself, but if your expenses are more than what you've earned, then you will get a rebate. And a lot of people tend to get rebates unless they're earning very, very well. I think I'm meant to be getting a rebate based on what I've worked out, because obviously you charge for ingredients and you charge for like your costs, but if your costs are higher than what you've earned, then you'll get a rebate. So it means you'll get a rebate for the ingredients you've bought, you'll get a rebate for any materials. So I'm going to be putting my KitchenAid on there because it's an appliance that I bought for work, so I'll be putting that on there. Any like fuel, because I deliver cakes and brownies and stuff, so that will be going on there. Postals, I'm putting all of my delivery charges, all the tax from that will be going on there. So you want to keep all of these receipts so that you have a log of everything, and then you can claim back all of that. So yeah, in terms of tax, I don't know too much about in terms of that because I haven't got to that point yet. I'm doing that over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, finances, I just keep lots of logs in terms of, I know how much is coming in, I know how much is going out, and I just keep lots of receipts. And yeah, and I also have an order book where I take paper orders because a lot of it I do over the phone. So I write the order in there, and then the spreadsheet just literally says 8-inch cake, this much, this date, deposit paid, the date that they're paying the remaining balance. It doesn't have all the details, whereas the order book that I have actually has, you know, 8-inch cake, pink drip, all the chocolates that are going on it, etc. So I managed to keep lots of different logs. When you had your inspection, how quickly did you find out your score? So this is also a common thing, and there's also when they will come for the inspection. So when you get the score, supposedly, as far as I'm aware, this is the same for everyone, but I know that for a few places it is different. Usually you get it immediately. I got mine straight away. They just handed me the sticker straight away and they wrote on the back of it. And then you get a little form which they fill out, which just has all the info saying, you know, outstanding, I don't think they put any like advisories on it. I don't think there's a box for that, but maybe they can. But mine literally just said a few comments about the kitchen, like good, blah blah blah, and then she just ticked a few boxes, and then it said the rating on the bottom, and then you also had the sticker, and she gave it to me immediately. Some people have to send off for it. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe they don't have any stickers left, but yeah, sometimes they have to send it out. It just depends on the like location in the UK. And also when they come out. So if you are a home business, if you're industrial, I think it's slightly different. Like if you have a warehouse that you bake in, or like a unit, then it might be different. But because this is your home address, they can't just turn up whenever they want. This is a very, very common question, but they can't just turn up whenever they want. You could be asleep. You could have kids that are usually at school when you're working, but they're not because they've turned up at a random time. Like they can't just come in then. You could have pets. You could be out, you could be on holiday. Like there's so many options that they can't just turn up whenever they want. And they also understand that it's your home. It's not like a unit where you clean it in the morning and you clean it when you leave and then it stays spotless. Like it's your home, you live in it, you're going to cook in it at dinner time, so they can't come at any time because you might want to clean it before they come. And if you've just cooked dinner and then they're arriving, then it's not going to be clean. So yeah, they cannot just come whenever they want. They always call, they have to let you know it's your home address, like it's your personal residence, so they can't just turn up whenever they want. And the last one, which I mentioned earlier, is the dealing with competition locally. So this is a difficult one because a lot of people get very kind of upset about it, or they are, I don't know what the word is, they're very up to date with people's what's happening in people's lives. I personally, as blunt as this sounds, I don't really care, and that's not like mean in any way. Like I'm too busy, or you know, and it's not even that I'm saying that I'm too busy with orders and you're not. It's just I'm too busy thinking. Like I spend so much time thinking about work, planning new things, doing admin. You know, I have a lot of hobbies, so I'm busy doing that. I just don't have time to worry about it. If I see their photos come up on my feed, I don't follow any of them. I would recommend doing that, because if you are worried, then following someone and seeing all the stuff that they're doing, if you're not getting the customers, then that might make you feel down. So yeah, I would say don't follow them. If you don't want to, you don't need to, and try not to sort of just kind of like pry too much into their lives. Like just allow them to run their business, allow you to run yours. There's plenty of room for there to be thousands of bakers. It's a very saturated market at the moment, which is why I think people are finding it really difficult. But just try not to worry about anyone but yourself, because all the time that you spend worrying about another business that might take your customers, or another business that is stealing your ideas, you know, obviously it's nice to get credit for things, but the odd time that you don't get credit, kind of just deal with it, because it's really not worth it. Like, that is just my honest advice to you guys. Like, I get so many messages of people saying, you know, this baker's in my local area doing this, they copied my design, or this baker's in my area doing this. And you know, you could always ask people to credit you if you really want them to. I mean, I don't get credit for certain things, you know, especially because I share so much about all my brownie trays and all my postals. I never get credit for that. I get it from a few, but not many. And a lot of people buy them and, you know, recreate my postal system, and I see them, and no one credits me, but I don't really mind. Like, it wastes too much energy to worry about it. You know, I saw someone the other day that copied all of my Etsy listings. So they've like started their own postal business, and all of my listings with all my details, you know, delivery, storage, all of that is an exact copy. You know, the font, the caps, the, you know, the style of the writing is all exactly the same, word for word. But I'm not going to message them and, you know, bother them, because I don't really mind, I don't really care, you know, it's gonna happen. You know, you can't really do anything about it, and I just wouldn't worry about it. Like, I saw that and I went, oh, okay, that's a bit rubbish that they copied it for word, but then about 5 seconds later I'd already forgotten, I was getting on with my day. It's just one of those things where it's such a saturated market. And also, I sometimes look through my explore page and sometimes I go, is that all the same baker? Like, I say this a lot, but I literally do. And some of it I'll look through and I'm like, is that the same baker? And I'll click on a couple of pictures that I've seen and they all look like the same baker, but they're completely different people from completely different areas, and it's just because they're all very similar. So it just shows you how, if you look through your explore page and type in cakes, you will soon realise that there are plenty of cakes to go around. For one, you know, as Finch Bakery said, you don't need to worry about competition, because there are so many people in the UK that if you're not getting the customers now, you might get them in a few months. Like, your time will come, your business will grow when it wants to grow. If you're putting in the effort, if you're putting in the positive energy, then it will grow. I am a firm believer in, if you're putting out positive energy, then you're going to get that back. And if you're worrying about someone else's business or your competition, or you're thinking negatively about your business, like, oh, I'm not getting orders, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, then I feel like you're going to get that energy back. Whereas if you're trying out new recipes, like if you haven't got any orders, try out some new recipes, try out some new designs on cupcakes, try and keep busy, build that content, then you can post about it. Like, there's always something that you can be doing with your time. So just try not to worry about other people, try and use your time effectively. If you have free time because you're not getting orders, then just try and use it to promote your business. That's literally what I used to do when I first started. When I wasn't getting orders, or if I saw that people local to me were getting orders and I wasn't, I was thinking, right, I'm going to buy some cake dummies. And then I started doing designs on cake dummies because I wanted to promote my business, even though I didn't necessarily have the orders. There's always things that you can do to promote your business, and I just think you want to use your time effectively. I don't have enough time in the day. I am always running out of time. It gets to, like today, it's 10:15 and I'm filming this video. Like, I've been way too busy today, so I don't have enough time in the day. So that's why I don't worry about people, because I get this question all the time. How do you deal with local bakers? How do you deal with people, you know, your competition, all of that? And it's literally that I don't have enough time to worry about it, so I won't. And I also don't like being negative. I'm like really not a negative person, and I really don't like being negative. So I try and snap myself out of it as soon as I get to that point. So yeah, just take it as, you know, they're local to you, they will have their customers, you'll have yours. So, and if you're unique enough, then someone will come to you because they won't do what you do. So yeah, that's all I can say. Ran over, because yeah, I got all these questions so much today, so I was just trying to answer them as well as I could for you guys. So I'm hoping that covered it all. A whole 40 minutes of questions, but yeah, I'm hoping that answered all of them. I know there will be more, because they're definitely I mean, there was quite a few from people on Instagram, but I know that there will definitely be more. So what I'll do is I might make this a regular thing, and then as I get questions over the week, build them up, and then I will answer them all for you guys, as well as replying to people's messages. But it takes me so long to reply to messages that it's probably easier just to do a little Q&A. So that is all of the questions. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you didn't mind my little rant. It wasn't directed toward anyone in particular, but I just hate to see people getting upset because they haven't got orders, or like getting disheartened because someone's got more orders than them, or they've got competition. Like, it's not worth it. Just focus on you and your business will grow and good things will come from it. That's all I can say. So if you have any more questions, comment them down below, and I can always do another one in a few days as like an extra video. So yeah, if you have any more questions, let me know, and I hope this was useful, and I will see you in my next video. There's going to be some Reno vlogs coming, and I'm also going to be doing an admin day in the life. So that will be coming soon because I need to do admin tomorrow. So as well as postal brownies, as well as actually renovating my room. So like I say, not enough hours in the day, but I will see you in my next video. Bye.